Hello, my name's Lindy Cowling and welcome to my channel. My website is www.lindycowling.co.uk. My email is info@lindycowling.co.uk, and the title of today's short video, I'm hoping it's short compared to the last two, is Twin Frames. There's a snake in my boot. Twin frames, there's a snake in my boot. Excuse the impersonation, the accent there. I am crap at impersonations and accents. So, twin frames, there's a snake in my boot. Let's have a little talk about false love programs. What are false love programs, false love programs? They come under the umbrella of looking on the positive side of it. Soul connections, sometimes connections that connect at the level of spirit, that have a dark catalytic effect upon you, or are dark catalysts, or are not underneath the surface all that they seem. So why I've called this twin frames is sometimes within the, let's call it the umbrella, within the umbrella of that frequency, or similarities to that frequency, or mimicking that frequency, or dancing alongside that frequency, masquerading within the edges of the perimeters of part of that frequency, can be this other scenario going on. This is something I have referred to before. I've alluded to this before in videos, such as, disruptor energies. A couple on disruptor energies I've done, if you look back over the work. Also the dark side of twin flame. So I've danced in and out this and alluded and dropped hints at this and talked about this a little bit on and off over the last 12-14 months. The reason I'm bringing this out is actually 3 or 4 different people have asked me to talk a little bit about this, because they feel not only will it help them and has my work helped them in that arena, but that it would help other people to just, for me to talk about it a little bit more. So let me start off by saying I only talk from things that I've experienced or work with others that have experienced firsthand. So I don't believe that such a thing exists. I know it does. There are programs within programs, especially, that have been existing within these arenas for a long time. I don't feel that it's a new thing. What I feel is new is that we are discovering it now. I've used this phrase in the last 3 videos. The unseen is now being seen, because as people's frequency raises, they are able to see with the eyes of the heart and hear with the eyes of the heart, and so they are able to see through sometimes some of these false programs or false paradigms. Now, I always take the positive spin on things. If you have been involved in or connected in that scenario, in a twin frame scenario, it doesn't take away the very real love that you felt, or maybe you're still in it and that you feel perhaps for that person. I don't want you to feel that you've been made a fool of, or that you're foolish yourself, because the love that you feel for that person is probably the only real thing in it, and no one can take that away from you. You do have an opportunity, once you heal from a connection like that, to grow significantly, but you will require a period of healing, and you're not going to heal from that overnight, because these false love programs, that they're not just personality to personality, they get right into the soul, they connect right at that level. This is why they've been so well hidden, because they're connecting in at those levels to start with. So, you know, another word I could say for twin frames, something that's masking as that frequency, I could say dark catalysts as well, because not all dark catalysts masquerade as twin frames, but they are under the same umbrella. Let's call it again an umbrella. You know, if we're differentiating here, let's call it under the same umbrella. So you will require, if you're involved in it, been involved in it, still involved in it, a period of recovery and healing, because what happens is the energy field, your energy field, will be bled dry over a period of time. So the longer that you're engaged with an energy that masquerades as matching your energy, but in fact does not, you'll start to be bled dry, literally. Your energy will start to leak significantly, and you'll start to be drained, and it will get to a scenario where this being that's connected with you, that's masquerading as such, they really can only get any semblance of energy or power through their interaction with you. So gradually you get more and more drained, and they feel like they're walking on air, because it's literally they're sucking you dry. Again, I'm going to backtrack here. It does not take away the immense, powerful feeling of love that you have for them. Don't beat yourself up on that one. Like I say, that's probably the only thing that is real in it, is that love, your love for them. That's probably the only real thing in it there. And again, you will require a process of recovery from that, various recovery. It may be counselling, it may be healing, it may be kind of some kind of retreat. It's not going to be an overnight recovery, I can tell you that. It's a long recovery. If you've been hit on a spirit level and a soul level by that, it is potentially very damaging. The longer you're in it, the more damaging it can be. I've aligned these before, and I'm sure I've said it on camera, and I could have called it that, but I aligned these to a sort of virus that gets in on a soul level, and it spreads throughout the system. This is a worst case scenario I'm painting here. That's not commonplace that gets that far in, but the entry point for most of these are they connect in on that level, then they hit the emotional body, the pain body very, very hard, because that's a reservoir of energy for them to tap into. The double whammy is if you are connected in intimacy with such a connection. That is the most common site for losing energy to it. It hooks in very strongly to the lower chakras, the base chakra. The lower chakras there with sexual energy, not sacred intimacy, which is a higher vibration. I'm talking it feeds through sexual energy. Again, these kind of energies are not, it's ironical, they're able to masquerade and mimic at what you would call quite high energies of frequencies, energies of connection, such as that, you know, mimicking and dancing around the twin flame frequencies. But ironically, once there has been transition into the heart of one or both parties, that's where they can't actually get to that level of purity. So what they do is they work their darndest to make sure you don't ever achieve that level of purity, and they work to make sure one or both of you don't make that transition. Now, in personal experience of this, but the experience that this is quite rare, let me make this point. It's not that common, but it is happening, and it does happen, and these false love programs are out there. Again, when I word it like that, I'm not saying the love's not real. The love you feel for that connection, my God, it's off the charts, because you're not feeling it just in personality. You are feeling that in soul and spirit. You know, you're feeling it across the board. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, and that cannot be taken away from you. You weren't mistaken in that. But what I'm saying is it's not that commonplace, but it does happen across the world. And like I say, I think awareness is key. I think awareness is growing, because people, as they make these transitions into the heart, which is the highest, sorry, a higher rate of consciousness, beginnings of the higher rates of consciousness, they are able to see and detect. And once they've had an experience like this as well, they're I mean, it's what a painful baptism or crucifixion that is, but if they've had an experience like that, they will most definitely be able to recognize it again, not only in themselves, but in others. I can assure you, if you've had a hit like that, you would certainly spot that energy again, for sure, once you've danced that energy. But again, if we take a positive spin on this, you know, under the umbrella of dark catalyst or any of this stuff, it is still the potential to grow. And sometimes I would say that had people not been engaged with such a challenging, you know, with a lot of dark elements energy, it would not have given them the opportunity to look very deeply, you know, at their shadow stuff and the dark stuff within them. And it's a crucifying, like I say, painful way of doing it, but it wouldn't have given them that opportunity. I think also it's you know, relevant to point this out at the moment that, I mean, this is again something I've said on camera. Whether you believe that you are truly involved in a soul connection, whether you believe you're truly involved in a spiritual connection, whether you believe you're truly involved in the twin flame union, which are only a very small proportion of people are, don't forget. Whatever you believe you're involved in, that does not give carte blanche, that does not give permission, that does not give excuse for you to stay on the end of severely destructive, abusive behavior, because you are sure within your heart, or you have convinced yourself in your head, or you just know that the person that is behaving narcissistically towards you, as a psychopath towards you, is beating you, is abusing you, is sucking your energy dry, is hammering you into the ground, and because you believe that they're the one, your spiritual connection, that you should tolerate that until you are a mashed pulp. I know how intense connections of that nature can be, right across the board, from the purity of the twin flame union right the way across to disruptor energies and dark catalysts. I know how hypnotic, how powerful, how mesmerizing, how engaging they can be. I know how you can get sucked into putting your head into the same door and having it slammed on it over and over and over again. Even knowing that you're going to get your head slammed on that door, you keep being drawn back over and over again. What I would say to you is you must be discerning, because really, whether this is a twin flame, a soulmate, or some form of catalyst. You know, hellfire, it doesn't matter in that sense what it is. Sure, you love the person. Sure, you're drawn to the person. Sure, you're attracted to the person. You may be experiencing metaphysical things, amazing things, things out of this world with that person. That does still not give permission for you to start losing energy to the connection, being bled dry. If it's out of balance, or you are on the end of very destructive behavior, then it is time to stand back. I always say, you know, when people are in an emotional state or a really mental state, they're very distressed, I always say, or my advice, you know, everybody's different, but my advice, you know, as many times has been, when you have your nose on the glass of a mirror, you can't, like this, you cannot clearly see the reflection in it. So by just standing back, notice the language I'm not using here. I'm not saying, you know, not saying, right, you've got to cut off, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. What I say is by standing back, just pulling back a bit, sometimes you can get the full picture, the full clarity of what is going on. Now, if it's a genuine twin flame connection, that's not going to damage the twin flame connection. All it is going to give you, you know, a tiny bit of space to get some clarity, because these connections are so intense. But it could also give you clarity on whether you're dancing with a twin flame or not, you know, because you can, by standing back, you get a chance to recover your energy, you get a chance to recover your clarity, your perception, your balance. I mean, all these, you know, from the most purest end of it to the more darker, challenging twin flame element of it, they all knock your balance sideways while you're readjusting. So really, that's all I want to say on that. I want to say on that, yes, the phenomena exists. Yes, it's quite rare. Yes, it does happen. Yes, I've experienced it. Yes, I've worked with people that are experiencing it and have experienced it. It comes under the umbrella of false love program. That sounds, but the love, let me make that clear again. No one can take away from you the fact that the love is real. The love is the only real thing in it. Your love for them. I can't personally comment on their love for you being real. Perhaps in some ways, if it's a psychopath or narcissist, perhaps it's their distorted version of what love is. Perhaps in some way, the love from them, you know, is reciprocated, and in some ways it's not. That's not really for me to comment. What I'm commenting on is your feelings, and your feelings are very real. My God, they are very intense and very real. So don't beat yourself up for that. And if you are involved or have been involved in something like this, or you just need clarity because you don't know which way is up, then take your nose off the mirror for a bit. Just stand back a little bit, allow yourself to rebalance, allow yourself to recover, allow yourself to get some healing, some counseling. If you're someone that's been triggered into severe post-traumatic stress disorder, complex PTSD, I can personally recommend cognitive behavioral therapy for that. An amazing treatment. Had I not been triggered into severe complex post-traumatic stress disorder myself, I would not have learnt all about that and had treatment all on those lines by a fantastic guy. I can't recommend it enough for the mental damage of the trauma that's caused by connections like that. Can't help the spiritual side of it. It can't help the soul from that point of view, but my God, can it help emotionally and, you know, the mental body side of it. It can help that enormously, and I can highly recommend that. CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, if you are someone that's been triggered into PTSD. Not everyone will be triggered into PTSD. That would depend on your personal, emotional, mental makeup, your background, your triggers, your soul wounds, you know, all those things involved. Anyway, I hope that helps. And I brought this out today because, like I say, 3 or 4 people were saying it would just be helpful for you to talk about that. It's strange, you know, sometimes talking about things like this, it almost like gives other people the permission to sort of take a collective sigh of relief and say, oh, thank God, you know, someone's actually said, yeah, that's happened to them, that's possible, and it doesn't mean I'm going nuts or I'm a complete twat, basically. I'm not being blasé about that. I sense that's what it is, you know, people just, for all those reasons, you know, it gives them permission to heal, actually, and cut themselves some slack. Anyway, it's just been a weekend for videos, hasn't it? I don't think I've ever done 3 in one weekend before. Anyway, I will love you and leave you. I do hope that helps, and helps you to, you know, come into a state of balance and give yourself some time to readjust and get some healing, you know, if you're being knocked sideways by one of these connections. Lots of love, guys. See you again soon. Bye.